Back. In this episode, we're going to go into assembling the actual block itself and double checking the crank and the rods and the bearings and making sure everything's clean and ready to go. In this case, my motor already came from the machine shop put together, but I want to go back through and double check everything to make sure that we have everything's clean and I don't have any loose dirt or crap in the motor. Especially since, like I said, we previously had tapped the oil galley because the machine shop had not done that, and that could have left some stray pieces in there. So it's always good to go through and clean out all your valleys and such. With that, let's get started. All right, so I got all the caps off now, and I got them all here nice and aligned and set up. So it's very important to make sure you keep them all in order. Most of them are numbered, but sometimes the rod caps are not. So it's always a good idea to keep those there. You'll notice the pistons are still staying in. It's not a problem if the pistons stay in the block. For the most part, they'll be fine as you're just doing, going through this process right now, checking out the crank. Or putting in the crank by itself and then seating in your pistons is a much easier way of going about it. But as I'll show you on the 2.4 build I did, I didn't want to go take them all back out and because putting them back in, you can run the risk of breaking a ring or something like that. So since they're in there, it's always much better to keep them in the block. But in this case, I wanted to take out the crank, and specifically I wanted to go back through and double check and make sure that no shavings got into that back one when I was tapping the plug. Before I got into inserting the pistons into the block, I wanted to go over the pistons themselves because I missed that on when we were going over the C.I.H differences. And there's really not a whole lot of differences. These are your standard high compression pistons. They're usually going to be about 3 to 5 cc's as far as the displacement of in there. This is a 2.4 piston, and it's got an 11 cc. It's to drop the compression a little bit because obviously the 2.4 it's going to have more volume to compress. So we want to, and as you can see, it fits right in the same thing as with a standard in a 2.2 block. Because the 2.2, the 2.4, and the 2 liter all share the same bore, the same standard bore size. So what you also have though is like the low compression pistons, and these low compression pistons are found in most of the Opel motors that we know of, the 72, 73, 74, and 75 motors, and these really drop the compression significantly. And they also came in 2 liter motors in Europe. Some countries required low compression for the same reason they did in America, which was the emissions. So that's the basic differences. And now let me show you the pistons into the rings and show you how to insert them into the block. And you see you got your rings here, got the oil control and your compression. So on the piston you got multiple different rings, and these rings have gaps. You want to make sure your gaps are opposed to one another. You don't have to. I mean, the rings do move when the motor's running, but this will always improve your best. You'll always have the best compression to start with if you do this. I'm using the assembly lube, this green Lucas assembly lube piston. Now, as you can see, passenger side is the side that has your grooves for your valves. Put the compressor on here after you get your rings set up, and tighten. And the pistons use a compressor, as I showed a minute ago, and I showed you how to set the rings up there, and then you basically slide it in, nice and gentle, and then you tap it in, and that's it. All right, got everything all cleaned up. Got the bearing caps back in. I'll go over that in a minute, kind of show you some few things there. But what I wanted to do right now is go over putting Plastigage on here. And what Plastigage is you see a little tiny piece of green thread there. What this is going to do is this is going to tell you whether the machine shop got all the tolerances correct and your bearings match your crank. With a freshly rebuilt motor, you need to do it to double check and make sure everybody's on the same sheet of music and that your motor's good. So you're going to have this little thread, and you're going to put it on your bearing, and it's going to be a clean bearing surface, no grease, no anything else. And then you put your cap. You put your cap on, and then you're going to use your cheater if you got one. I highly recommend it. And there you down there and bring it down there. Now this thing takes 72 pounds of 72 foot-pounds. So needless to say, I wouldn't use an air tool on it, but the battery tool is not going to get anywhere near 72. So I'll set this to 30. And then we'll go up here to 60. And then we'll go to 72. All right. Once you got that seated in there at 72, now you undo it. Back to the cheater. And your screwdriver. And there you go. Notice that the plastic gauge is squished. That squish will line up with one of these gauges over here. Now, you'll look in your chart, in your manual, and you will see your crank mechanisms, your main bearing clearance and your thrust bearing length is one. I'm not sure. That's a different thing. The clearance you're looking for, or your main bearing clearance, is 0.006 to 0.025. So you'll look here. In some cases, you can just 0.02. There you go. Take that right here, and again, we're looking for 0.009 to 0.025. So 0.009. Okay. So 0.009 is that one, and 0.0025 is that one. So they basically need to be between there and there. So you look, and you're right at 0.02. So you're within the tolerances of the bearings. Yeah, your crank is good. Your machine shop did the proper job, and everything else. And then to get that off, a little bit of brake clean on a rag. And you just wipe it off. There. Now, the thing to know, this is not to tell you if your used bearings are good. This is not to tell you if your 30, 40-year-old crank is good. This is to tell you that your polished and checked used crank and your new bearings match. Many a person has put their motor back together again with used bearings and ended up on the side of the road because they threw a rod. It's $90 for a new set of bearings. Don't reuse a used bearing. If you're at this point in the motor, get new bearings. All right, that's done. All right, so when you're going to be putting the bearings back on, when you put the bearings on, when you first set the crank, you make sure you have your engine assembly loop on all the surfaces. And then once you got it on and you've done your Plastigaging, just a little bit there. You know, a little goes a long way, a lot goes a long way. And then what you're going to do is where the little tab is, make sure your tabs match. You're on the same side with the tabs. And then you'll just go in and with your cheater. And again, back with the 30, 60, 72 on that one. And all right, I was going to go mention real quick now. When I set the crank in, I use a little bit of an assembly lube. And then when you're about to put the bearings on, you put on this side, you put a little bit of assembly lube as well. And then I will kind of make sure it gets all over all the surfaces there. And then, as I mentioned before, I'll show you it again. In this case, so when you're putting the crank bearing, when you're putting the bearings on, if I haven't mentioned it already, because I can't say it enough, the tab side goes where the tab side goes. So, and you put them on. And again, like I saw, like you saw before, that's, you know, I don't have to go over that again. And when you're okay, for the main journal bearings that you had there, that's how you're going to do the for those. But there is the main bearing right here, and what you're going to do on that one's going to be a little different, because there's two things you're going to want to have to do. One, we need to seal that edge there from leaking, and we also need to seal the and install the rear main seal itself. So one of the things you're going to do is there's two different types of materials we're going to be using. We're going to use ultra black for the rear main seal on the side, and we're going to use ultra gray for the surfaces here and here. What we'll do is we'll do that. A little goes a long way, because you don't want a lot of this out there getting into the other surfaces. So you want just a little bit right there, because it doesn't take much. And obviously, you don't want any of this to get into oil passages and such. Alright, it's a little there. And then on the rear main seal, you're going to use black, or you could also use number 2 Permatex. Both are about the same, but the black is a little bit more impervious to the oil, so it's a little bit nicer to have this on there. And in short, you just kind of run that there on the bottom, and you just lift it up and you get it in. It's really nice that it's much easier to put your rear main, and I put it on backwards. By the way, that's backwards. Don't put it on backwards. So you put it in here. It went on too easy. You always go on. If you go on too easy, it's going on too easy, then there's something wrong. All right. And then you slowly walk it back into there, and check and make sure you didn't fold any lips or anything else like that. Check that, and there you go. So that makes it a lot easier than trying to do it when you have it when you're trying to set up the motor, or do this with the rear main seal. I mean, you know, your main bearing holder in place. So again, we put a good bit of grease in here, because that's going to protect it from bad things happening. And of course, oil goes into this valley right here on the back, which is why it's kind of your rear main seal will, if it's leaking, it's going to leak a lot, because that's just par for the course. There's a lot of oil, there's a lot of oil pressure right there, and that's where it primarily goes. So, and back again with the put your two in, and snap in place right there, and now it's all nice and tight and clean. And we go 30, 60, 72. Now with your rods, you're going to be doing the same thing. You know, a little bit of your break-in assembly lube. So nice and smooth on there. And then you're going to make sure that your tab matches the tab, so they go on this way. And these are even more critical than the other ones, because these, if you get it the other way around, a lot of times you'll bind up on your on the actual crank, and it'll be hard to turn the motor. So if you find it hard to turn the motor, you might find out your pistons are backwards. So then again, tighten that. The torque on this is 36, and once you're done, you got all you should be done. So you just have 72 and 36, and in this case I would start at like 20 foot-pounds, then move up to 30, and then move up to 36 for your final. Well, that pretty much wraps up the rotating assembly. Please subscribe and hit the bell so you can be notified of the next portion of this video series, where we're going to go into the oil pan, the oil pickup tube, doing the dipstick tubes, and most of all the timing cover and timing chain and that assembly, so we can have the short block done, and then we'll be ready to put the head on and go over all that. So thank you very much for watching, and again, please subscribe if you enjoyed this video, and let me know in the comments if there's anything I missed or something that you would like to see me add to the next videos. Thank you.